All right, so this is a fully functioning clone that was actually sent in for a sprung pocket clip, and we had to inform them that it was a clone. Another thing is the texture. This right here has a rubberized texture. We don't make anything with a rubber type finish or a coating. This is what scratches off over time. So let's try a couple prod tests. We'll go into the same spot here. I'll do it just like I do on my other tests. Matter of fact, I don't want it to snap right off the bat, so. Oh, there it goes. You see, I used almost no pressure. That's what you're paying for. You might break a small portion of a tip, but guys, I'm barely into this 2x4. That's the difference. I have no idea what kind of steel this is. It's probably, I can tell you it's not a high quality steel. But that broke with almost no force. I am usually through a 2x4, and if you've seen on the channel, on the Microtech knives, I did some torture tests where I was doing straight pries like this. I was almost completely through it before I even started getting any tip breakage. So that's what you can expect out of a clone. Okay, another one of the clones, different style blade. Let's see if we get the same result. Yeah, this is one of those, you know it's going to pop, so. This one's holding up so far. I'm making a mess in my office. Okay, so here we go, guys. This one did not break, but look at that. Do you see that? I mean, I wasn't even in there maybe 1/8 of an inch, but what we're looking at is how that bent. So that's improper hardening, but you're talking about a cheap steel. You're going to get what you pay for. Now that that's bent, we're going to get rubbing on the front edge right there. So yeah, it's still working. Yeah, there it goes again. See, a little test like this is where you're going to notice the difference. Hard use. This is what I would consider a toy. This is not using the premium. See, we're at a point now where the lock has failed. You guys see that? And this was perfectly functioning before we started it. All I'm doing is just a cut test, but this is junk. That's what you're paying for. All right, so we rarely show the inside of our knives, not that it's a secret or anything, but guys, this is where you're going to notice the difference. Disregard the fact that this one looks smaller, it's just further away from the lens. But what I want you to notice are these casting marks here in the fake. We have none of that. This is billet machined aluminum. You're not going to have those casting marks. Look at their stop pin here. This is the way it was when I opened it up. This cannot be removed, which is not uncommon for some of our older Microtechs, but it's still going to be round and in great shape, not like this. You'll also notice if you look here, and I'll try to zoom in on this, this right here is actually like a water jet cut. Ours are machined locks. This is why ours are so strong. You'll also notice those nice smooth radiused corners, whereas here this looks like it's just either stamped out or just cut out one way or the other. The other thing I want to look at is the button in detail. So if I move the combat, this is the factory button. This is the clone button. If you know what you're looking for, there is no comparison at all. The one looks like it was actually spray painted, but that's the way it was new, but you guys can see the difference in that texture and that detail on it. All right, let's go ahead and compare some internal parts. This is our slider assembly. You'll notice the attention to detail here. You'll also notice the lightning here. Here we have more of a sharp edge than this. This is out of the clone. You'll notice that's just squared off. Let's look at some of the springs and things. Looking at the leg mounts, you're going to notice that on our unit we have a machined billet leg mount. This one right here is not. Now our rear one is very similar to theirs, but on the front you'll notice that's a billet machined part. So there's some other differences as well in the internal parts. All right guys, let's look at the lock assembly. This is ours. It is a billet machined piece. And let's look at the clone. This is the one that actually failed. You'll see that it's already bent and it's just flat on the bottom. You guys can see where they actually over drilled it and almost burst through here. So there are a lot of different subtle differences, especially internally, that you might not ever see unless you knew the knife and what you were looking at. All right, now let's take a look at some of the more unique ones, like the Bounty Hunter. Okay, so which one is real? Can you guys tell? Other than the screw missing here, this is the real one. Okay, so if you look, the blades are extremely similar, especially with the blood groove. They have serrations. We also make it with serrations as well. Now, each one of these are going to be different because they are hand distressed. But once again, let's look at that button detail. So on that button detail, you're going to see that flat cut here, whereas on a real one, what you're going to see is you'll see that concavity here. Also, if you look at the screws on the real ones are actually larger. You'll notice these are undersized. They don't just quite look right. Let's go ahead and flip it over to the other side. They've done a really good job replicating the pocket clip. But if you look at this logo right here, it is different from ours. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip this around so you can see it. We'll try to zoom in on that. All right, so taking a look at the pocket clip, you're going to notice this is the fake one, but it looks really nice. This right here would actually make you be a little suspect because of the way that it's roughed up, but this was intentional. This is by us. Once again, look at the serial number sizing and the placement. They're starting to get the depth right, and then right here, look at the glass break. This is the old style glass break. This is the updated glass break. All the bounty hunters should have a glass break like this one. So one of the most duplicated counterfeits that you're going to see is the Microtech Scarab. You'll notice the Scarab beetle here as well as here. You'll also notice we have some lasering in between the actual wings right here. You're not going to find that on this one. You'll also notice that you have text that is completely wrong. Just upon first inspection, without seeing that Microtech logo, you might think this is the real one, but it is not. Now disregard this because we actually make a model for the DE that actually has this taper here. This is an SE. But if you look along the lines here in the machine work, you'll notice the difference in the texture. Also look at the glass break. Which one's real? This is the real one. This one has been well used and carried quite a bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the buttons. Well, guess what? They've got the concavity right on this one. So you'll see that that's concave, so you have to be careful with it, because this has it as well. Look at the button itself, or looking at them. They've done a good job on copying that. You'll also notice these lines here, but no vent holes. See, the Scarab has the vent hole in the rear. If you guys can see those, this does not. Now, there are a lot of different models of Scarabs, like the Executive and everything like that. So looking at the blade, you're going to see something that just looks horrible on the fake, and then there's a real one there. Now this is an SE as opposed to a DE. Let's look at the inserts here. You can see how poorly machined this is. And then this is one of our units. Now this is an older unit. That is one of our screws. So just because you see a screw like that, you'll also notice that this has a rise to it. And this was done purposefully so that if you had one and you laid it on this side, you weren't laying it on the finish. It was designed like that by Tony. So that is not a flat screw on the Scarab on this model. A lot of people don't know that. These are completely flush. Well, the ones that are in there anyway.
All right, guys, another way we can tell when we have a counterfeit is when we have them in hand. The weight difference between a counterfeit and authentic Microtech is unbelievable. So we got a scale here. Let's check it out, see what's going on. This is actual authentic combat Troodon, machined aluminum. We're weighing in right at 5.6 ounces, okay? This is a counterfeit combat Troodon. Let's see what it weighs. 7.9 ounces. You can see that's a huge difference there. All right. It also
makes them weigh so much.
Like I said, I think it's internals. This is definitely not aluminum. This is some kind of rubberized coating on this. I don't know what kind of metal they actually use on theirs, Ray.
Typically what we've seen is because they're using the pot metal, sometimes they'll use lead,
right,
believe it or not. That's what gives it that extra heavy weight. And you might feel like you've got something better because of the weight or the heft of it, and that is a bad indicator.
Let's take a look at the Scarab here. Authentic Scarab, see what we weigh in at. 4.2 ounces. Here's the Counterfeit Scarab, 6.5 ounces. So you can see there's a huge weight difference there as well. So check the weight if you have an opportunity to get one in hand. Yes, one of the last things you can actually pay attention to is the packaging. A lot of these counterfeit knives, they use some of our older looking packaging.
Correct.
With the actual ellipse on it with the Microtech and the Morpheon dagger combined. You know, it's kind of brand confusion there in a way. Take a look. We take a lot of pride in our packaging. So these are the newest ones. We've been doing these for about a year. So if it doesn't come in this kind of box right here, you know, you need to be suspect of it.
Yeah, and we'll show you a close-up of this at the end of this exit here, and then we'll show you some examples of some packaging that we've never used, and to avoid those at all costs. We hope this saves you some time and money and makes you a more informed buyer. But the easiest way to make sure you don't get taken
is buy from an authorized dealer.
Absolutely.
Guys, on our website, we actually have a dealer locator where you can actually input your zip code and search within a 1,000-mile radius of wherever you live to actually find a dealer closest to you.
Yeah, so guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't seen it on the Microtech Knives YouTube channel, go ahead and check it out. We've got a lot of good, informative videos there. Hope you guys have a great week. Talk to you soon. All right, guys, so at the top, that is the older packaging that we used up until last year. And that was replaced by the box you see on the bottom. The one on the bottom will have the 25th anniversary logo here. That will be going away shortly. And then you might see some different color foils coming out instead of the red. You might see some different color variations on the Signature series, but those will give you some ideas of the packaging and what it would look like. Now, there is a tan packaging coming up in the next video that we did use previous to this box. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's fake if you have one of those. However, we're not using that any longer. Now in this photo here, you're going to see some wooden boxes at the top, and off to your right, we have never made wooden boxes for our knives. On the bottom left, you'll see another example of a box that we used to use long ago in the past. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily getting a fake one, but they have duplicated that one pretty closely. So just be aware. We hope this helps. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.